Oh yes.
What?
I absolutely nailed two banjo men with my crossbow.
That sounds that sounds like a really bad porno. Hello and welcome to the Halloween Vlaxpan edition. I'm joined by Vlax. No, I am Vlax. I'm joined with Limpan. How are you, Tom?
I am very good. I'm on
Good.
top of a large freight box.
Cool beans. So
I
this
can see
is
you.
I can see you. This is one of the Halloween maps. Fright Yard. It's bloody spiffing. Top notch. A plus plus. So do you have any other horror cracking tales of for the Halloween season?
Horror tales. You know what? No, I'm gonna be watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. You know the whole
Actually,
thing.
what,
Just let me
what,
just interject there. You know Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's based on a true story, and everyone's like, oh, you know
that's
that
just what I was about to talk about.
it is. It was true, but
But
he
it was
killed.
about
He
Ed Gein.
oh what?
Gein. It's about Ed Gein.
Is that the guy? From what I heard, it was one guy. He killed one person with a chainsaw,
No,
and then the police found him and shot him and killed him.
no, it's not about him at all. It's about a guy called Ed Gein.
Perhaps that was another Texas Chainsaw Massacre incident.
This chap didn't use a chainsaw,
Okay, so that's
but
it's just the Texas Massacre. Lex, you're
he
gonna tell me he's not from Texas?
I don't know. I think it's come from Wisconsin.
Oh,
Um, but part of it's based on him. He killed two women
hmm.
and he cut off their faces and wore them like the guy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre was. But he was it wasn't because he had a bad skin disease like what they say in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's actually because he wanted to be a woman. So he also had uh, 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 some some female genitals made for him
What?
and a breast. Like he cut their breasts off and wore their breasts.
Really? That just
Yeah.
sounds fucking weird. And that's that. So they somehow changed the story from that to like a crazy mutant man from an inbred family with a dodgy
Yeah, but I
bad
think I think
with
he
bad
he's
acne.
this guy is a yeah. Although he didn't need to kill anyone, he just needed a good old bottle of Clearasil.
He just needed his, some revitalizing scrub. He didn't need to murder people. I mean, come
No,
on.
I mean I think this guy inspired a lot. He inspired Silence of the Lambs.
But I thought Silence of the Lambs was about that guy who like had to eat his sister or something.
Have you watched it?
I've seen the prelude of it. I can't remember what that one's called. Like before the Silence of the Lambs. When it's about him when he was young, and you're like going around killing people
Yeah, but no, Silence of the Lambs is the original film. Um,
with that guy
it's
in it.
it's it's not really about Hannibal Lecter at all. It's kind of is, but Hannibal Lecter isn't like the major bad guy in it.
What in Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
Who is the major bad guy? Is it the system or something really stupid like that?
No, it's some guy that does the same thing and makes a body of a woman out of dead people he kills.
Oh, so it's like a copycat thing.
Well, not really. There is a terrible film called Copycat with Sigourney Weaver in it.
Aliens.
No,
Oh,
uh,
so that's a
it's
good film.
called Copycat, I believe.
Oh, I see. Well, there you go. The more you know,
It's
eh?
quite interesting,
It is quite interesting. Did you
but
see the Bigfoot documentary on Channel 4 the other day?
no.
It was the biggest load of shite I think I've ever seen. You know those times when you think you've wasted an hour of your life?
Yeah,
This was one of those
just
moments.
like the banana documentary.
No, the banana documentary was awe-inspiring and a real thing. But this one, it was about this guy. Like one of the stories was this guy went out hunting, and he like saw like a family of Bigfoots, and just in front of him. So he
I thought
did.
there was only one Bigfoot, so
No,
how could there be
no.
a
This
family?
guy was like there was tons of them. There's like a family of them, and he, most people would be like, oh shit, take a picture or something. This guy, being a proper American, whipped out his gun and shot two of them. Like probably killed two of them. And this guy's like notorious in the Bigfoot community for like either a hero because he killed the monsters, or as a villain because he killed the monsters.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a body. It's like, so he killed two of them. He didn't have a body. They didn't ask in this television program once. They didn't ask him where the bodies were or anything. You know, so typical Channel 4 bullshit, just trying to drag out a story. And all he had from killing two Bigfoots was a couple of hairs. And so they analysed these hairs, and hairs from like around America, which people got. And one of them was a bear, which is fair enough. I mean, a bear could look like a Bigfoot. One of them was from a cow. One of them was from a dog. And one of them was from a porcupine. It's like, are these... What is wrong with these people? And when they told this guy, the guy was like, no. Just no. It's not real. And it's like, well, he was like that crazy woman in that Alien thing, you know? They like...
The
Kentucky.
I always get it like taken when I'm eating Kentucky. It's like, all right, love.
All right.
I think your hair was stuck in a tractor beam for a very long time. What is the one like scary movie that really freaked the hell out of you?
Probably, I don't know. I don't really watch horror films. I'm terrible with horror, as you know. There's this one film which is nothing. It's not horror at all, really. It's where they go under. It's like deep underwater, which is bad enough because I hate that fucking.
Yeah,
scene
but I
and
hate
stuff.
submarines, mate. So you don't need a.
Yeah, this is like an oil rig thing, or like something underwater, and they find this crashed alien ship underwater. It's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. Have you seen it?
No.
I can't remember what it's called. It's either Orb or something. They find this crashed alien ship, which, spoilers, is a ship from the future in Earth. And they're like looking around it.
You should have probably paused then. Spoilers.
I'll put spoilers. No one's going to watch this. It's ancient. It's gone past the date where people don't know about it. And anyway, they go on this alien ship and they go around. Like, everyone's dead in it. There's no one there. And it turns out it's a ship from the future and it's crashed back into Earth. And there's like this. They go into the cargo hold and there's this big like ball and it's gold, but it's like liquidy, if you know what I mean. So like when you touch it, it shimmers and stuff. And it's like fueled on your nightmares or something. It sounds really. I'm not explaining it well, but it's somehow like fueled in your nightmares or something. And they. Like when Samuel Jackson, he's the first person to touch it, and whatever he thinks happens. It like happens to people, but it's just him, and so he goes a bit mad. And like whenever he's sleeping and dreaming, the things come real. And he's reading that film, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which has like giant octopuses and all that shit. Yeah. And basically all this stuff happens. Like people go outside and they get attacked by like a giant octopus and. Like, they all get killed off one by one. There's giant jellyfish come and attack and, like, swarm. They're outside. The creepiest bit is when there's this woman outside and all these jellyfish, like, come and, like, swarm her and, like, get sucked up into all the vents and stuff in her suit. It's really nasty. Yeah, and then they escape and, like, the golden orb flies off. It's not really that scary, to be honest. I just remember watching it at the time. Now that I talk it out, it's not that bad. But when I watched it as a kid, it scared the shit out of me. I don't know. Paranormal Activity. People say it's scary, and no, people say it's not scary, but I find it quite creepy because it's very realistic, if you know what I mean.
It's very realistic, is it?
Well, it's sort of. You know, it's like it's more realistic than other stuff. But you're more of the horror film buff. What's your scariest horror film?
I don't know. I haven't watched loads and loads and loads. The one that I still to this day can't watch ever again is Grudge.
Oh yeah, that is creepy. But I think I've watched some of that from behind my hands.
It's because it's not like a gore scary one, because that sort of one doesn't scare me. It's like that one that really mucks with your head, like with the mutanty sort of walking down the stairs and making that That weird.
Oh, hang on, I can do this. I can do it well.
Noise.
They're like,
Yeah, that's it. Oh, just shut up, man.
the bit that I don't like about that is when they're on the bus and like, we're all safe now. And she looks out the window, and then the guy's face is like, Bleh!
That's not Grudge.
Yeah, it is. It's the one with Sarah Jessica Jane Buffy the Vampire Slayer Parker. That's the Grudge, isn't it?
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
thought.
remember she's like going away with that guy on the bus, and it's like we're all safe now. And then the guy's face like appears in the window, and it looks like Joey Jordison from Slipknot.
Oh, what, the little kid?
No, because there's three of them, isn't there? There's the kid, the girl, and like that weird like geisha thing, you know, with like the mask. It's the thing that pulls that woman up the grid to start with, and it's wearing like a weird mask. That thing appears in the bus. It's, you know, like bleh.
Yeah, but it's just like the little flashbacks as well, where they wander in and that guy's like hanging, and then they find that like jaw.
Oh yeah, and there's a
That
bit when
kind
she's in the shower, and like, yeah, it's a fucking weird film. To be honest, I
The
find,
one thing that creeped me out when I was a kid was I saw this TV. I can't remember if it was a film or something where this guy went to the toilet
mm,
and then this
there
head
was a
popped out
demon
the toilet
floater.
bowl.
Oh, a head popped out the toilet bowl.
But if I have to admit, there's the sort of scary things I do enjoy. One has to be the good old Ghost Adventures. Can't go wrong.
On the TV, that is a cracker. Shall I read you a creepypasta? A story I found on the internet. I'm sure I'll be alright.
Go for it.
Okie dokie. So this is from the Reddit subreddit No Sleep. Okay, are you familiar with that subreddit?
I'm familiar with No Sleep. Yes.
Okay, and this is from a man called. Have you read it recently? So you won't recognize.
No,
it. Okay.
I have not read it recently.
Okay, this is from a user called Helpless Gazelle. So shout out to you, Helpless Gazelle. And this one's called Delivering Pizza to a Couple on PCP. And you know what PCP is, don't you? It's drugs.
Is it that? Which one's PCP again? Is that one? What made people into zombies?
That's bath salts. I'm not too sure what I thought it was like poly something. I'm not too sure what it is, to be honest. PCP.
Yeah, it's a drug.
It's a drug, basically. Okay. Are you sitting comfortably?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just get an optimal scroll on the old phone. Okay. And here we go. Scroll out a bit more. Okay. This was within the first month of me delivering pizza, by the way. I had no idea how to react. Okay, so that's the sub-story. It was late at night, about 12:30, when I got the delivery. My GPS and my phone couldn't find the address, but I knew where the road was. I drove up and down this dirt road for about 15 minutes trying to find this house, calling multiple times with no answer. I finally find out where the house would be, but
Wait. Just a quick question beforehand.
Okay.
Is the couple on PCP or is he on PCP?
The couple are on PCP. He's
okay.
not on PCP. Okay, where was I? I finally found out where the house should be, but this house has no address and the mailbox was missing. It was my only option. I park in the road because there isn't a driveway. The entire house is surrounded by a chain link fence with no visible gate opening and no lights are on. The grass was also probably never cut, as it was tall as the fence. Okay, as the grass was as tall as the fence.
Yes.
After walking around the house a few times, I see that there is oh god, I can't read today. I see that there is an unlit back door in the yard. Okay. I know this is wrong and dumb. I hopped the fence and knocked on the door. Woo-hoo. No one answered, but I saw a nearby curtain move and a face just staring at me. A full 2 minutes went by of the guy not moving and me motioning him towards the door. Finally some lady answered, but the guy was standing about 5 feet behind her. He was a black guy in a white t-shirt and did not take his eyes off me or blink. Standing in the creepiest pose ever, arms at his side, with his head tilted down, looking at me. Ooh. The woman was fairly large, mixed race and probably in her early 30s. She was wearing a cheetah print robe, so you can tell she's a classy lady. But the front was completely open. I saw everything. I hand her the pizza. She then started talking in a weirdly slow voice that I couldn't understand at all. After about a minute of talking, I think she was talking to herself. She pulls out a small coin purse looking thing out of her pocket in the robe. I'm just standing there, fully creeped out in disbelief. I put my hand out, expecting her to give me the money. She shakes her head, so I put my hand down. She then starts taking change, mostly pennies and nickels, out of the little bag thing and puts them... I'm getting killed. Where am I? Little bag thing. She keeps putting them more... puts them in my shirt pocket. Okay, she's putting the change in my shirt pocket.
I see.
Okay, so she putting more pennies in quickly, and it slowly overfills. She keeps putting more and more change in the pocket, but it's spilling over and over, all out onto the porch. 90% of the change is spilling onto the ground. She then gives me a weird look. The guy in the background still hasn't moved. She then grabs and squeezes the full pocket of change and says, "Booby, booby, booby, boo." I still have not said a word. She then closes the door and turns off all the lights off again. I walk back to my car and put all the change in the cup I had. I drive back to work and start counting the money. It was about $3 in pennies and nickels. There was a quarter or two. The end.
That in no way freaked me out. I just thought this woman must have a very large change purse.
Booby, 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 boo.
Why is it a black guy in a white vest? What does that even matter?
Booby, 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 boo. You're going to be hearing that at night, Tom. You'll be lying in bed and you hear whispering.
Booby, booby, boo.
Hear it whispering in the wind. Booby, 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 boo. And change will start falling from the ceiling and blood will run down the walls.
I'm never ordering next time I order a pizza, I'll do that.
And then the doorbell will ring at the middle of the night and you'll be like, oh! And you'll go and answer it, and it'll be a pizza man, and he'll look at you and
to be honest,
with horror in his eyes, and then you'll realise that you're a black woman wearing a leopard print vest that's undone.
In all fairness,
and all you can say is
the guy who delivers pizza around here looks like Frankenstein.
He probably is. It's hard to find a job when you look like that. Good shout. Good, well done, Domino's for employing.
It wasn't Domino's. I can't remember what it was.
Oh God, the door just opened. It scared me.
Was it?
It is booby booby boo. Oh God, I do have another horror story which I'll tell you.
That's really
later.
poor compared to like the Smiling Man. That is really poor.
That one got a lot of upvotes on Reddit. I thought maybe you'd find it scary. I found it more funny, to be honest.
It wasn't. It was. I don't know whether it's just the beautiful narration voice of.
Booby, 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 boo. Akio boob. To be honest, the scariest stuff I find is stuff that comes from the internet. Like, the whole Slender Man thing is really creepy, and that was all just from like one German guy making it for a forum. I think there's a lot of talented writers out there, far more so than Hollywood. Boo, zing. But yeah.
Yeah, I want to see the film Booby Booby Boo.
So do I. I think that guy who does all the explosions should do it. Michael Bay. Michael Bay? Yeah. And like when she opens her change purse, like a bomb, it like explodes. Booby, 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 boo. But yeah, the whole Slender Man thing is really creepy.
Now the Slender Man one really did freak me out when I first heard it, especially when I played the first little indie thing they made.
Yeah, and all the Photoshop pictures are really creepy.
Yeah. I mean, some of them really aren't, but some of them are.
Yeah. I find urban legends and stuff fucking creepy as well. Like the whole Bloody Mary thing is really creeps me out. I know it's complete bullshit, and like obviously not true, but I would still never be able to do it. It's like, ugh. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, would you go up to a mirror right now and do it?
What, say Bloody Mary?
3 times.
What,
Yeah.
isn't she just supposed to show up in the mirror?
Yeah, and like take you away, and
I don't think so.
and touch you inappropriately.
Well, who is this chick anyway? This Bloody Mary?
I don't know, but I find some of that horrendously creepy. I don't know why.
But I didn't find Blair Witch Project scary.
I've never seen it. Isn't it like one of the biggest success like biggest grossing
Yeah, but
films?
that was such a media.
Because they
bullshit.
made it for like 300 quid or something, didn't they?
Yeah, but they did the promotion of it very well. So they made a website with all these like missing newspaper columns in it and like interviews and stuff,
Yeah.
as if the what events happened were real.
Yeah, I think that's
But
half the thing, isn't it? You know, like massive, like bigging it up, if you know what I mean. Big shout out to my fans, sort of thing.
oh,
I've never seen it. I thought everyone hates on Cloverfield. I thought it was pretty good. It's not scary, but it's pretty good.
not scary at all, my friend.
Well, I found it terrifying. I've once seen a cup move. That's the like strangest paranormal thing that's ever happened to me. A cup's moved
Where did you see the cup move though?
in my house. My mother was actually with me at the time when she saw it move as well. It was just like on the kitchen table, a cup just gradually slid across, like 30 centimeters maybe. And
That's quite a long way.
I've seen taps turn on as well, and that was really creepy. When I was doing work experience at the bank, which is meant to be haunted, the taps next to me like turned on. But all these things I think can be explained. I mean, the tabletop was probably wet or something. There could have been a slight breeze. And the bank, you know, it's really old. Could have just been pressure, just forcing it on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even so, it's pretty creepy.
But, you know, if you have any messages for us, the living, the devil,
Satan! I think I've got that somewhere. I'll put that recording in now.
I've got to link you up with this last Ghost Ventures I watched. They're in like some weird house, and this woman's mum. I mean, all respect and whatnot, but this woman's mum died in this house like
horrible. Like,
no,
this woman's mum, right? All respect, but she was a complete fucking monster.
Yeah, but you just let the story unfold, Chin.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
So this woman died. This house is supposedly haunted way before this, but it's basically this woman goes in with them for this investigation. She's like, "Mother, tell me the code word. What's the code word?" And the controller doesn't work.
Is that what you said? The controller doesn't work?
No, sorry. The controller doesn't work, you know.
Anyway.
And she says, say the code word, and then they're there for ages trying to find it, and then this, like, voice goes like, "Buffalo," on this thing, and she's like, "It's the code word." And they're like, "What is it?" And she was like, "It's like Borin or something like that, or Breen or something." And she was like, and they were like, "What's that?" It's like, "Oh, it's a place, and she wanted to go there and gamble until she died." I was like, "What?"
What? Boring.
I don't know what it was called. Do you know what? Do you want me to watch it? No, I'll tell you the name.
Nah, tell me another time. Did I tell you about that one that really creeped me out? Which they don't normally creep me out, but this one really creeped me out.
When you heard it, the devil.
Yeah, they were in like a prison, and they were flicking through the channels, and they're trying to communicate with this guy who got killed, and they said on the radio, "What were your last words, Bob, Windows PC?" And they were like, "What were your final words before you died, Bob?" And they're flicking through, whoop, 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 whoop. And they said, "Oh, I heard you had a message for someone. Who was the message for?" Whoop, 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 whoop. Then it just went, "Satan." Well, I hope you enjoyed that recording.
Hey!
I think I've got that in the archive somewhere.
Satan.
What was I going to say? My aunt has like the creepiest like story. Like, I don't know what it is, but like her old house or something was meant to be really haunted, and they know, like, her and my uncle know tons of ghost stories. But basically, their house was meant to be really haunted. My uncle used to see like a black cat running around the house, and there's the boss. He's got a little cobra coming out of his. He used to see a black cat running around the house. And he thought it would just like go and hide in the room. You know, he would see it run past him if it was like having a shower or like a bath or something, run past the door and go into his bedroom. And he thought, fuck, it would just be like a random cat or something. So, but whenever he went in to find it, he could never see the cat or anything. And he could never find it. But he just thought, maybe he was seeing something or whatever. But one day he was cleaning out the garden and he found a little cross, like, you do for animals that died. and
Yeah.
the cross said city on it.
Oh, well, that's kind of weird.
That is weird, isn't it? And that's honest truth. How weird is that? But their two houses, their house that they were in, they used to live in, and the next door one was meant to be worse. They had a couple of stories. There was one where, the people who were in there were getting married, and so they had like the vicar around to talk ceremonies and stuff. And he went out to the toilet and came back and was like, oh, I just brushed past your elderly dad in the corridor when I was going to the toilet. And they both looked at each other and said, we're the only ones in the house.
That's kind of creepy.
And the other one, which really creeped me out, and I don't like going like in dark places where there's windows now, because this really creeped me out for a long time, is that they had an extension built, and they used to say at night you could hear like people knocking on the windows in the extensions and stuff. And you'd go down there and there'd be like no one there, and some days it'd be really bad, like people properly going crazy knocking it. But also the daughter once came back from a party, and she said she was getting a glass of water from the kitchen, and the kitchen backs onto the conservatory.
Yeah.
And she looked up, and she could see if there was like a face on the other side of the window, like looking back at her through the window. And they called the police to see what it was about. And the police came around, couldn't find anything, and yeah, that was that.
Oh.
But the banging kept going on and stuff. Weird, hey? Very spooky.
I don't know. That's just a bit more just weird.
It is weird. And there was another one when they bought the house. They bought it from an elderly lady, and she said something like, it was either her husband died in the house or he died somewhere, and in the middle of the night, the Virgin Mary appeared in the corner of the room and was like, "Don't worry, I'll protect you."
Right.
Yeah, so sounds like she'd been on the old PCP. Right, let me try and find another scary story whilst there's another one I know which is a good one. This is quite a famous one. Have you heard of I think it's called the expressionless.
The what?
Expressionless.
No.
Okay, there's a picture that goes with this, and I'll send you it later.
Right, what's the picture of, though?
It's of, I'll tell you. Okay, this one's actually quite creepy. Okay. In June 1972, a woman appeared in Cedars-Sinai Hospital in nothing but a white, blood-covered gown. Now, this in itself should not be too surprising, as people often have accidents nearby and come to the nearest hospital for medical attention. But there were two things that caused people who saw her to vomit and flee in terror. The first being that she wasn't exactly human. She resembled something close to a mannequin, but had the dexterity and fluidity of a normal human being. Her face was flawless as a mannequin's, devoid of eyebrows and smeared-in makeup. There was a kitten clamped in her jaws so unnaturally tight that no teeth could be seen, and the blood was still squirting out over her gown and onto the floor. She then pulled it out of her mouth, tossed it aside, and collapsed. From the moment she stepped through the entrance to when she was taken to hospital room and cleaned up before being prepped for sedation, she was completely calm, expressionless, and motionless. The doctors thought it was best to restrain her until the authorities could arrive, and she did not protest. They were unable to get any kind of response from her, and most of the staff members felt too uncomfortable to look directly at her for more than a few seconds. But the second the staff tried to sedate her, she fought back with extreme force. Two members of the staff had to hold her down as her body rose up on the bed with the same blank expression. She turned her emotionless eyes towards the male doctor and did something unusual. She smiled. As she did, the female doctor screamed and let go out of shock. In the woman's mouth were not human teeth, but long, sharp spikes, too long for her mouth to close without fully causing any damage. The male doctor stared back at her for a moment before asking, "What in the hell are you?" She cracked her neck down to her shoulder to observe him, still smiling. There was a long pause. The security had been alerted and could be heard coming down the hallway. As she heard them approach, she darted forward, sinking her teeth into the front of his throat, ripping out his jugular, and let him fall on the floor, gasping for air as he choked on his own blood. She stood up and leaned over him, her face coming dangerously close to his as the life faded from his eyes. She leaned closer and whispered into his ear, "I am God." The doctor's eyes filled with fear as he watched her calmly walk away to greet the security men. His last ever sight would be watching her feast on them one by one. The female doctor who survived the incident named her the Expressionless. There was never a sighting of her again.
No.
I'll send you the picture.
Yes, is it a freaky picture?
It is quite creepy.
Alright, go on then.
Okay, look at the picture now.
That's kind of weird.
It's kind of creepy, isn't it?
I don't think that has anything to do with it though.
That's the expressionless person, Tom. I don't know. I think it's a bit creepy. It's a bit weird. Like, it's these sort of things that when you read them, it's not as bad. But when you're like walking alone in the dark, you like suddenly think back to it and you're like, yeah, that could be real. I've also got another weird. This is true. This is a true story. You know those mannequin things? You know, like the Kiss of Death mannequins that you know, I can't remember what they're called. Something Annie, you know?
Oh, yeah.
The ones you practice CPR on. Have I told you this before?
No.
Basically, the face from the mannequin is of a real life girl who was like alive, I don't know, maybe the 1800s, 1700s, around that period, where face masks were very popular for, you know, for like parties and stuff. So you wear like a handmade, like really intricate face mask, and people would make businesses out of making these face masks and selling them.
Right.
And basically this guy made them sort of as a hobby, but his actual job was a coroner. So like, you know, he picked up dead bodies and, you know, embalmed them for death and stuff. And basically this girl Annie, the actual face, she fell into the river, and it doesn't know how she fell in. Don't know if she was murdered or whatever. But basically they found her like at the bottom of a river, the Annie thing, completely dead, and it got taken into the coroner's office. And the guy who like did the body and, you know, stuff like that, like prepared it for burial and stuff, was the guy who made the masks. And he like became obsessed with this girl's face because she had like quite a pretty face. Like became obsessed with it and, like, you know, made a mask of it just for himself and stuff. And he made a doll out of it, which became very popular, and it became a very popular face mask apparently. And it just sort of kept over time and time and time, just sort of kept in the archives. And when they were eventually making these breathing simulator things, that's the face they picked for it. So the face on those Annie dolls, or breathing Annie things, is actually of a dead girl from like the 1700s.
That is kind of creepy.
It is creepy, isn't it? We had a power cut in at work. Have I told you about this? We had a massive power. You know, when all the winds were coming and stuff.
I got a Snapchat.
Oh yeah, the power cut. I sent you the Snapchat. I was just chilling. I was getting the lift up when the power cut hit, and I got stuck in the lift. And I died in that lift, Tom.
Well, you've died twice so far in this conversation.
I died
like when that lorry man came out and was fucking hell.
I died in that lift. I'm actually a ghost now. So, woo! Goodbye, Thomas. Do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye!